The stars had always been silent. For thousands of years, humans looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. They sent radio signals into the void. They launched probes. They dreamed of meeting other life forms. They never imagined it would happen like this. Fleet. Commander Torak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crushing Hand, and looked at the blue planet below. It was small, beautiful in a primitive way. His sensors told him there were 8 billion life forms on its surface. 8 billion souls who did not know their world was about to change forever. "Commander," his officer said, "the probes have returned. The species calls itself human. They have basic nuclear technology, chemical rockets, no energy shields, no plasma weapons. They are ... primitive." Torak made a sound that was almost like laughter. Another easy conquest. The Valoran Dominion will add this world to our empire before the next cycle ends. The Valoran Dominion had conquered over 200 star systems. They were masters of the galaxy. Every species they encountered either surrendered or was destroyed. There was no third option. Torak looked at the planet called Earth. He needed to send a message. A demonstration of power. Fear was the best weapon. Once these humans understood what they faced, they would fall to their knees and beg for mercy. "Target the population center on the Eastern Peninsula," he ordered. "Something small, enough to show them what we can do." The weapons officer nodded. A beam of light shot down from the Crushing Hand. It struck a coastal city in a nation called Korea. The city was called Buzz. In 3 minutes, 40,000 people died. Buildings turned to dust. The ocean boiled where the beam touched the water. Families who had been eating dinner, children who had been playing games, old people who had been watching television, all of them were gone. Just gone. Among the dead was a woman named Park Sahi. She was 34 years old. She had been a teacher. She had 2 children, a boy and a girl. She had called her husband that morning to tell him she loved him. Her husband was Admiral Park Tae-ho, commander of Earth's newly formed United Defense Fleet. He was in a meeting when the attack happened. He felt his phone vibrate. Then he heard the sirens. Then someone told him about Bus. He did not cry. He did not scream. He simply went very quiet. His face became like stone. Something inside him changed in that moment. Something that would never change back. The Valoran fleet broadcast their demands to every screen on Earth. Torak's face appeared gray skin, 4 eyes, a mouth full of sharp teeth. He spoke slowly, as if talking to children. "People of Earth, you have seen what we can do. Your weapons cannot hurt us. Your defenses cannot stop us. You have one choice. Surrender. Give us your planet. Give us your resources. Give us 30% of your population to serve as workers in our empire. Do this, and you will live. Refuse, and we will burn every city on your world until nothing remains but ash." The transmission ended. Across Earth, there was silence. Then there was fear. People ran into the streets. Governments held emergency meetings. Military forces went to high alert. Religious leaders called for prayer. Some people said they should surrender. What choice did they have against such power? President Kim Yuna of the United Earth Coalition watched the transmission from her office in Geneva. She was 52 years old. She had been a diplomat before becoming president. She had spent her whole life believing in peace, in negotiation, finding common ground with enemies. But as she watched Torak's message, she felt something new rising in her chest. It was not fear. It was not despair. It was cold, burning anger. She called an emergency session of the World Council. Every leader on Earth was connected by video. Their faces showed shock, terror, confusion. Some were already talking about surrender terms. President Kim raised her hand. The room went silent. "I have heard your fears," she said. "I understand them. These aliens have technology we cannot match. They have weapons we cannot stop. By every measure of logic, we should surrender." She paused. Her eyes swept across the screens. "But I will not surrender, and I do not believe you will either." The defense minister of Russia spoke up. Madam President, with respect, what choice do we have? They destroyed an entire city in seconds. They destroyed a city to make us afraid, Kim Yuna replied. They want us to give up without a fight. They want us to bow down like every other species they have conquered. But they made a mistake. What mistake? They assumed we would react like everyone else. They assumed we would break. Her voice grew harder. They do not know humans. They do not know what we become when someone threatens our home, our families, our children. She stood up from her chair. 100 years ago, this planet was at war with itself. We nearly destroyed ourselves, but we survived. We rebuilt. We united. Not because we are weak, because we are strong. Because when everything seems lost, humans do not give up. We fight harder. Admiral Park Tae-ho spoke for the first time. His voice was calm, but there was something terrible underneath it. My wife and children died in Busan. I will not ask anyone to fight for revenge. But I will tell you this. I will fight until my last breath. Not because I want to die, because I want them to pay for what they have done. President Kim nodded slowly. Admiral Park speaks for all of us. These aliens came here expecting fear. They will find something else instead. She looked directly into the camera. Her next words were broadcast to every screen on Earth. People of Earth, hear me. The beings who attacked us are not gods. They are not invincible. They are flesh and blood, just like us. They can be hurt. They can be killed. And they can be defeated. They did not come to negotiate. They came to take. So we will not negotiate either. As of this moment, humanity is at war not for survival, but for vengeance. Every factory will produce weapons. Every scientist will work on new technology. Every soldier will train for battle. We will not run. We will not hide. We will not beg. They wanted to make us afraid. Instead, they have made us angry. And they will learn what happens when you make humanity angry. The transmission ended. For a moment, there was silence around the world. Then the silence broke. In every country, people began to move. Factories that had been making cars started making weapons. Scientists who had been studying medicine started studying alien technology. Young people lined up at military recruitment centers. Old soldiers came out of retirement. The entire planet mobilized for war in orbit. Fleet Commander Torak waited for the surrender message. He waited 1 day, 2 days. 3 days it never came. Instead, his sensors detected something strange. The humans were building thousands of small ships, millions of weapons, underground bunkers, orbital defense platforms. They were not preparing to surrender. They were preparing to fight. Torak felt something. He had not felt in 100 years of conquest. It was small, barely noticeable. But it was there. It was the beginning of doubt. 6 months passed. The Valoran Dominion grew impatient. Fleet Commander Torak sent message after message to his homeworld. The humans have not surrendered, he reported. They are building weapons. They are training soldiers. They refuse to accept their fate. The Dominion High Council was not worried. They had conquered hundreds of species. Some resisted at first. All of them fell eventually. These humans would be no different. They sent Torak reinforcements. 500 warships. 2 million soldiers. Enough firepower to burn every city on Earth 10 times over. End this, the High Council ordered. We have wasted enough time on this primitive world, Torak smiled. Finally, he would finish what he started. The Valoran invasion fleet moved toward Earth. Their ships blocked out the stars. Each warship was 3 kilometers long, covered in weapons and shields that could withstand nuclear explosions. Their soldiers wore powered armor that made them nearly invincible. They had conquered worlds far more advanced than Earth. This would be easy, Admiral. Park Tae-ho watched the enemy fleet approach from the command center on the moon. Around him, officers worked at their stations. The room was quiet, tense. Everyone knew what was coming.
Oh.
How many ships do we have? Someone asked. 200, the tactical officer replied. Against 500 of theirs, and their ships are bigger, stronger, better armed.
Oh.
Then we do not fight ship against ship, Park Tae-ho said. He pulled up a display showing thousands of small dots around Earth and the Moon. We fight our way. This was the swarm doctrine. For 6 months, every factory on Earth had been building the same thing: small, unmanned combat drones. Each drone was only 10 meters long. Each one carried a single fusion warhead. They were cheap to make, easy to produce, and there were 10,000 of them. The Valorans had never seen anything like this. Their tactics were built around large ships fighting large ships. They did not know how to fight an enemy that attacked with thousands of tiny weapons at once. The Battle of Luna began at 0600 hours Earth time. Valoran Admiral Keth commanded the attack from his flagship, the Iron Destiny. He was a veteran of 50 conquests. He had never lost a battle. Launch fighters, he ordered. Destroy their pitiful fleet. Valoran fighters poured from the warships fast, deadly, piloted by trained warriors. They outnumbered the human ships 5-1. Then the swarm came. 10,000 drones activated at once. They moved like a cloud of angry insects, spreading across space in every direction. They were too small for the Valoran targeting systems to track easily. They were too many to destroy one by one. Admiral Keth watched his display fill with red dots. What is this? What are they doing? The first wave of drones hit his outer ships. Each drone slammed into a warship and detonated its fusion warhead. One explosion did little damage. 10 explosions cracked the shields. 100 explosions tore through the hull in the first hour. The Valorans lost 50 ships. Keth screamed orders at his officers. Focus fire. Destroy those things. But the drones kept coming. They did not fear death. They did not retreat. They simply attacked again and again, sacrificing themselves to bring down the enemy. The Iron Destiny was targeted by 300 drones. Keth watched them approach on his screen, a cloud of death moving closer and closer. All power to shields, he shouted. The shields held against the first 100 impacts. The second 100. The third 100 cracked them. The fourth 100 broke through. Admiral Keth's last thought was surprise. How could primitives do this? Then his ship became a ball of fire. On Earth, people watched the battle through satellite feeds. They saw the Valoran fleet breaking apart. They saw their drones swarming over the enemy like angry bees. For the first time since the invasion began, they felt hope. But the battle was not over. Half the Valoran fleet survived the swarm attack. They pushed through, heading for Earth. Behind them came the troop transport's massive ships, carrying 2 million soldiers ready to land on the planet's surface. Admiral Parktaiho had prepared for this too. Ground forces. Report status, he said into his communicator. Colonel Lee Hagen answered from a jungle in Southeast Asia. The Admiral. Let them come. The Valoran troop transports descended through Earth's atmosphere. They landed in Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Soldiers poured out, expecting to face terrified civilians and weak military forces. They found something else entirely. Colonel Lee Hagen commanded the 7th Special Warfare Division. His soldiers had trained for 6 months in the jungles of Vietnam and Thailand. They knew every tree, every river, every cave. They had dug tunnels. They had planted traps. They had prepared surprises. The 1st Valoran unit marched into the jungle, confident in their superior armor and weapons. They walked for 10 minutes without seeing a single human. Then the ground exploded beneath them. Improvised bombs tore through the Valoran ranks. Soldiers who survived the blast looked around wildly, trying to find the enemy. They saw nothing but trees. Then the shooting started. Human soldiers fired from hidden positions, aiming for the weak points in Valoran armor, the joints, the eye slots, the power packs on their backs. The aliens fired back, but they were shooting at shadows. Every time they thought they had found the humans were already gone. Moving through tunnels to attack from a different direction, Colonel Lee Hagen led a squad through an underground passage. They emerged behind a Valoran command post. Before the aliens could react, the humans threw grenades and opened fire. The commander fell. The soldiers panicked. They are ghosts. One Valoran screamed into his communicator. They appear from nowhere. They disappear into the ground. We cannot fight ghosts. This scene repeated across the planet. The Valorans had expected a quick conquest. Instead, they found themselves in a nightmare. Humans attacked and vanished. Traps waited around every corner. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing when they could not find their enemy. In 2 weeks, the Valorans lost 300,000 soldiers. Commander Torak received the reports with growing horror. This was not possible. These were primitives. How could they be winning? He ordered a retreat. The surviving Valoran forces pulled back to orbit, leaving their dead behind. For the first time in the history of the Dominion, an invasion force had been defeated. Across the galaxy, other species heard the news. The Valoran Dominion, the unbeatable empire that had conquered 200 worlds, had lost to a primitive species from an unknown planet. The Orani Collective sent spies to observe Earth. The Methani Federation requested information. The Drell Syndicate, long oppressed by the Dominion, secretly celebrated. A small blue planet had done the impossible, but Admiral Park Tiho knew the war was not over. The Valorans would return with more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. Earth had won a battle, not the war. He stood in the command center, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there was the Valoran homeworld. Somewhere out there were the leaders who had ordered the attack on Busan, the leaders who had killed his family. "We cannot just defend," he said quietly. "We have to attack." His officers looked at him with surprise. "Attack, sir? We barely survived this battle. How can we attack them?" Park Tai-ho turned to face them. His eyes were cold and hard. "We learn. We build. We grow stronger. And then we take the war to them. We make them feel what we felt. We make them know what it means to be afraid." He looked back at the stars. "They started this war. We will finish it." The Galactic Council had existed for 10,000 years. It was a place where the great powers of the galaxy met to discuss trade, borders, and the fate of lesser species. The Valoran Dominion held 3 seats on the council. They were feared by everyone. But today, the council chambers were filled with whispers. Nervous whispers, excited whispers, frightened whispers. Ambassador Litha of the Orani Collective stood before the assembled delegates. She was tall and thin with silver skin and large dark eyes. Her people had been watching Earth since the invasion began. What she had to report would change everything. "Distinguished members of the council," she began, "I bring news from the Sol system. The Valoran invasion of the planet called Earth has failed." Silence fell over the chamber. Then voices erupted from every direction. "Failed. Impossible. The Dominion has never lost. There must be some mistake." Litha raised her hand for silence. "There is no mistake. The Valoran fleet lost over 200 ships. Their ground forces were destroyed. Commander Torak has retreated to Valoran space. The humans have won." The Valoran ambassador, a massive creature named Dreth, stood up angrily. "This is temporary. We will return with a larger fleet. These primitives will be crushed." "Perhaps," Litha said calmly. "But that is not the most important news." She activated a holographic display. "Our spies have observed something remarkable. The humans have captured Valoran ships. They are taking them apart, studying them, learning from them." The display showed images of human scientists examining alien technology, engines, weapons, shield generators, everything. "Within 6, they have advanced their technology by 200 years, Litha continued. "They learn faster than any species we have ever encountered. They adapt. They improve." And now, she changed the display. It showed a new image, a human ship, different from anything they had built before. Sleek, powerful. Alien technology merged with human design. "They have built their first faster-than-light ship." The chamber exploded with noise. FTL technology was the key to galactic travel. Without it, a species was trapped in their home system. With it, they could reach any star in the galaxy. The humans had gone from primitive rockets to FTL in 6 months. It should have taken centuries. Ambassador Dreth's face twisted with rage. This changes nothing. We will destroy them before they can build more ships. Will you? Litha asked. How many ships will it cost? How many soldiers? The humans have proven they do not surrender. They do not break. Every attack makes them stronger. She looked around the chamber. The question this council must answer is simple. What do we do about humanity? The debate lasted for days. Some species wanted to help the Valorans crush Earth before humans became a threat. Others wanted to offer humanity membership in the council. A few those who had suffered under Valoran. Rule secretly hoped the humans would destroy the Dominion entirely. No decision was reached. The council could not agree. While politicians talked, the humans kept working. Dr. Choinari had not slept in 3 days. She stood in her laboratory at the Seoul Research Institute, surrounded by pieces of alien technology and screens full of equations. Her team of 50 scientists worked around her, all of them pushing past exhaustion. The captured Valoran engine sat in the center of the room. It was beautiful in a strange way, curves, in lines that no human had ever designed. Inside it was a secret that humans had dreamed about for centuries. Run the simulation again, Nari ordered her assistant. A young man named Bae Junho typed commands into the computer. Numbers filled the screen. Diagrams appeared and disappeared. It works, he said, his voice shaking with excitement. The math works. We can do it. Nari walked to the engine. She placed her hand on its cool surface. This machine could fold space itself, allowing ships to travel between stars in hours instead of years. The Valorans had used this technology to conquer the galaxy. Now humans would use it to fight back. How soon can we build our own? She asked. 3 months, Junho replied. Maybe 2, if we push hard. Push hard, Nari said. Push harder than you have ever pushed in your life. Every day we wait, more people die. The first human FTL ship was completed in 7 weeks. It was called the Dawn, and it was ugly, a rough combination of human and alien technology, held together with welding and hope. But when its engine activated and the ship disappeared from Earth's orbit, only to reappear near Mars seconds later, the watching scientists cried tears of joy. Humanity could reach the stars. Admiral Park Tai-ho came to the Seoul Institute to see the Dawn for himself. He walked around the ship slowly, studying every detail. Dr. Choi Nari walked beside him. How many can you build? He asked. With full resources, 50 ships in 6 months, she replied. 100 in a year? Make it 200. Park Tai-ho stopped and looked at her. And arm them. Heavy weapons. The best shields we can make. Nari frowned. Admiral, these ships could be used for exploration, for science. We could visit other worlds, meet other species, we could, Park Tai-ho agreed. After the war is over, right now, we need weapons. The Valorans will come back. When they do, I want to hit them first. 6 months later, the first expeditionary fleet was ready. 20 FTL warships, each one carrying human weapons and alien technology. They were faster than Valoran ships. Their shields were stronger. Their weapons were deadlier. Rear Admiral Yoon Min-ho stood on the bridge of the flagship Thunder, looking at his crew. They were young, most of them, scared, but determined. You all know why we are here, he said. 6 months ago, aliens attacked our home. They killed our families. They tried to make us slaves. Today, we take the fight to them. He turned to the navigation officer. Set course for the Keth system. Valoran military base. Maximum speed. The fleet jumped to FTL. Space twisted around them. Stars blurred into lines of light. Then, suddenly, they were somewhere else. The Keth system was a Valoran forward base 50 warships. Weapons platforms. Supply stations. It was the staging area for the next attack on Earth. The Valorans had not expected anyone to find it. They certainly did not expect humans to attack it. Rear, Admiral Yoon gave a simple order. Fire everything. Human weapons lit up the darkness of space. Plasma bolts and missiles and energy beams tore into the Valoran base. Ships exploded. Platforms shattered. The Valorans scrambled to respond, but they were caught completely off guard. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the Valoran base was destroyed. 50 ships were gone. 200,000 personnel were dead. Human losses: 2 ships, 100 crew. Rear Admiral Yoon broadcast a message on all Valoran frequencies. His words were simple and cold. "We are humanity. You attacked our home. You killed our people. You thought we were weak? You were wrong. This is not a warning. This is a promise. We are coming for you. Every base, every ship, every world you control. We will not stop until your empire is dust." He paused. "You started this war. We will end it." The message spread across the galaxy faster than light. Every species heard it. Every government discussed it. The primitives from the small blue planet had not only survived, they had struck back. On the Valoran homeworld, Supreme Commander Dreth listened to the message with growing fury. He had been given command of all Valoran military forces. His mission: destroy humanity once and for all. "Gather every ship," he ordered. "Every soldier. Every weapon. We will crush these insects with overwhelming force. No more games. No more patience. Total war." On Earth, President Kim Yuna received the intelligence reports. The Valorans were mobilizing their entire military. Thousands of ships. Millions of soldiers. "They are coming," Admiral Park Tae-ho said. "Everything they have." Kim Yuna nodded slowly. "Then we give them everything we have to." She looked at the star map showing Valoran space. So many worlds. So many enemies. "They wanted a war," she said quietly. "Now they have one." The galaxy had never seen anything like this. 5,000 Valoran warships gathered at the edge of the Sol system. They formed a wall of metal and fire that stretched across millions of kilometers. Behind them came troop transports, carrying 20 million soldiers. Supply ships. Medical vessels. Everything the Dominion had. Supreme Commander Dreth stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Absolute Victory. He was the most feared military leader in Valoran history. He had conquered 30 worlds personally. He had never known defeat. Today, he said to his officers, "We end the human threat forever. We will not make the mistakes of the past. No mercy, no prisoners. We will burn their planet until nothing remains but glass and ash." The Valoran fleet moved forward. On Earth, sirens wailed across every continent. People ran to shelters. Soldiers took their positions. Factories worked through the night, building weapons until the last possible moment. Admiral Park Tae-ho stood in the command center of the Vengeance, humanity's largest warship. Around him, his fleet formed up 2,000 vessels of all sizes. It was the biggest military force humans had ever assembled. It was still less than half the size of the enemy. Admiral Commander Beek Soman said from her station, "The Valorans will reach the asteroid belt in 6 hours. That is where we make our stand." Park Tae-ho nodded. The asteroid belt, the ring of rocks between Mars and Jupiter, was perfect for defense. The asteroids provided cover. They limited the enemy's ability to use their numbers. "All ships, move to positions," he ordered. "Today, we fight for our homes, our families, our future. No retreat. No surrender." The fleet jumped to the asteroid belt. Commander Beek Soman had planned this battle for months. She was 34 years old, small and quiet, but her mind worked like a supercomputer. She saw patterns that others missed. She predicted enemy movements before they happened. "The Valorans will attack in 3 waves," she told the command staff. "They always do. Heavy ships first to break our lines. Then medium ships to exploit the gaps. Finally, light ships to chase down survivors." She highlighted positions on the holographic map. "We let them think their strategy is working. We give ground slowly. We pull them deeper into the asteroid field. Then we close the trap." Park Tae-ho looked at the map. "And if the trap fails, then we die," Salman said simply. "But we take as many of them with us as possible." The Battle of the Asteroid Belt began at 0900 hours. the first Valoran wave came. Like a hammer, 500 heavy warships, each one capable of destroying a city with a single shot. They expected the humans to break and run. The humans held their ground. Human ships fired from behind asteroids. Using the rocks as shields, they hit the Valoran ships, then moved before the enemy could return fire. The heavy warships were powerful, but slow. They could not catch the smaller, faster human vessels. Still, the Valorans pushed forward. They lost ships, but they kept coming. Their numbers were overwhelming. First line falling back, an officer reported. Second line, engaging. Park Tai-ho watched the battle unfold. Red dots and blue dots danced across his display. Every red dot that vanished was an enemy destroyed. Every blue dot was a human ship, lost sons and daughters of Earth, who would never go home. The second Valoran wave joined the battle. Medium cruisers poured through the gaps in the human lines. They were faster than the heavy ships, more maneuverable. They began to encircle the human fleet. "Now, Commander Beak," Soman said. The trap closed. Human ships that had seemed to be retreating suddenly reversed course. Hidden weapons platforms on the asteroids activated. Thousands of drones, the same swarm technology from the first. Battle launched from concealed positions. The Valorans found themselves surrounded. "What is happening?" Supreme Commander Dreth screamed at his officers. "Where did those ships come from?" "They were hiding, Commander," someone replied. "Behind the asteroids. In the asteroids, we could not detect them." Dreth watched his fleet being torn apart. Human drones swarmed over his ships like insects. His cruisers, which had been advancing so confidently, were now fighting for survival. His heavy ships, trapped in the asteroid field, could barely move. "All ships, fall back," he ordered. But it was too late for many of them. The battle lasted 72 hours. Neither side rested. Neither side gave up. Ships exploded. Crews died. The asteroid belt became a graveyard of metal and fire. On the Vengeance, Admiral Park Tai-ho stood at his command post for all 3 days. He did not eat. He barely slept. He watched his people die, one ship at a time. And he gave orders that sent more of them to their deaths. Commander Beak Soman worked beside him. Her voice was hoarse from shouting commands. Her fingers bled from typing on her console. But her strategies kept working. Every time the Valorans adapted, she adapted faster. On the third day, the Valoran fleet broke. Supreme Commander Dreth looked at his displays and saw destruction. 3,000 of his ships were gone. Half his invasion force was dead. His remaining vessels were scattered, damaged, running. "Retreat," he ordered, his voice barely a whisper. "All ships retreat." The Valorans fled. The humans did not pursue. They were too exhausted, too damaged. But they had one. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. People ran into the streets, crying, laughing, hugging strangers. Church bells rang. Fireworks exploded. For the first time in a year, humanity could breathe. But the war was not over. General Han Dojian commanded the ground forces that hunted down the last Valoran troops on Earth. For months, enemy soldiers had hidden in mountains and caves and abandoned buildings. They were cut off from their fleet, but they kept fighting. Han Do-yeon was 50 years old, career soldier who had fought in 3 wars before the aliens came. He was patient and methodical. He did not rush. He did not make mistakes. One by one, his forces found the Valoran holdouts and destroyed them. Sometimes the aliens surrendered. Most of the time, they did not. The last Valoran unit was trapped in a valley in Central Asia. 300 soldiers Sioux, rounded by 10,000 humans. General Han gave them one chance to give up. They came out with their hands raised. The footage of Valoran soldiers surrendering spread across the galaxy. For 1,000 years, no one had seen Valorans surrender. They were conquerors. They were masters. They did not bow to lesser species, but they bowed to humans. The Galactic Council sent an envoy to Earth Ambassador Litha of the Irani Collective. She came with offers of peace, trade, and alliance. She came to bring humanity into the galactic community. President Kim Yuna received her in Geneva. The meeting was broadcast across Earth and to dozens of alien worlds. President Kim, Ambassador Litha said, "The Council wishes to end this conflict. We propose a peace treaty. The Valoran Dominion will withdraw all claims to your system. You will join the Council as a member species. The war will be over." Kim Yuna listened politely. When Litha finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "Ambassador," she finally said, "I appreciate the Council's offer, but I must decline." Litha's silver face showed surprise. "Decline? President Kim, this is an offer of peace. Surely that is what you want?" "What I want," Kim Yuna said, "is justice. 1 year ago, the Valorans attacked my planet without warning. They killed 40,000 innocent people in a single moment. They demanded we become their slaves. And when we refused, they tried to burn our world." She stood up from her chair. Her voice grew harder. "We did not start this war, but we will finish it. There will be no negotiated peace. There will be no treaty that lets the Dominion survive. There will only be victory, or extinction, theirs or ours." Litha was silent for a moment. "President Kim, if you continue this war, the Council may be forced to intervene." Kim Yuna smiled. It was not a warm smile. "Then intervene. But I warn, we have learned how to fight one empire. We can learn how to fight another. Do you really want to test whether humanity knows how to stop?" The ambassador had no answer. The war would continue. 1 year after the first attack on Earth, the United Earth Fleet entered Valoran space. Admiral Park Taiho stood on the bridge of the Vengeance and looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere in that darkness was the enemy homeworld. Somewhere out there were the beings who had killed his family, who had tried to enslave his people, who had started a war they could not finish. He was going to end it. The human fleet was massive, now 500 warships, thousands of support vessels, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. In 1 year, humanity had gone from primitive rockets to a force that could challenge empires. They had learned fast. They had built fast. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before. The campaign was methodical and unstoppable. First target, the Valoran supply stations in the outer systems. Without supplies, the Dominion's remaining fleets would run out of fuel, food, and ammunition. Human strike teams hit the stations hard and fast. Destroying them before the Valorans could respond, Captain Shin Yunji commanded the destroyer Silent Fury. She was 31 years old, with short black hair and eyes that never seemed to blink. Her ship specialized in hit-and-run attacks: jump in, destroy the target, jump out before the enemy could react. Target in range, her weapons officer reported. Valoran Fuel Depot. Minimal defenses. Yunji did not hesitate. Fire. The Silent Fury unleashed a wave of missiles. The depot exploded in a ball of fire. Before the debris had finished spreading, Yunji's ship was gone, jumping to the next target. Second target, the Valoran. Shipyards at Torith Prime. This was where the Dominion built most of its warships. Without the shipyards, it could not replace their losses. The assault on Torith Prime was the largest operation of the war. 200 human ships against the most heavily defended facility in Valoran space. Defense platforms, weapons, satellites. 100 enemy warships. Admiral Park Taiho led the attack personally. All ships. This is the Admiral. The enemy will fight hard. They know what happens if we win. But we have come too far to stop now. For Earth, for everyone they have hurt. Attack. Human fleet crashed into the Valoran defenses like a wave against rocks. Ships died on both sides. Plasma bolts and missiles filled space with fire. But the humans kept pushing forward. Lieutenant Kong Jiho led a marine strike team onto Torith Prime's surface. His mission: destroy the main reactor that powered the shipyards. He was 26 years old, tall, and quiet. The kind of soldier who never complained and never quit. His team landed under heavy fire. Valoran soldiers rushed to stop them. Jiho's Marines fought through the enemy lines, taking losses with every step. By the time they reached the reactor building, only half his team was still alive. "Plant the charges," Jiho ordered. "We have 5 minutes." They worked fast. Valoran reinforcements were coming. Jiho could hear them in the corridors, getting closer. "Done," his demolitions expert said. "Everyone out. Move." They ran. Behind them, the charges exploded. The reactor went critical. A chain reaction tore through the shipyards, destroying everything. Torath Prime burned. When the smoke cleared, the Valoran shipyards were gone. Human losses were heavy: 40 ships, 3,000 soldiers, but the mission was accomplished. The Dominion could no longer build new warships. Third target: the slave worlds. The Valoran Dominion had conquered over 200 planets. On each world, they had enslaved the native species, forcing them to work in mines and factories. These slaves produced the resources that powered the Dominion's war machine. Admiral Park. Taiho gave new orders. Liberate the slave worlds. Human ships arrived at planet after planet. They destroyed the Valoran guards. They opened the prison camps. They told the slaves they were free. The reactions were always the same: shock, disbelief, then tears, hugs, cheers. On the planet Keth 7. Captain Shin Youngji personally led a team to free a labor camp holding 50,000 slaves from a species called the Turali. They were small, purple-skinned beings who had been enslaved for 300 years. They had never known freedom. When the gates opened and the Valoran guards lay dead, an old Turali approached Youngji. He was shaking, his eyes filled with wonder. "Who are you?" he asked. "Why are you doing this?" Youngji smiled gently. "We are humans. From a planet called Earth, the Valorans attacked us. We are here to make sure they never hurt anyone again." The old Turali began to cry. "We heard stories about a species that fought back, that would not surrender. We did not believe it," Genji said. "You are free now. All of you." Word spread across the galaxy. The humans were not just fighting the Dominion, they were freeing its victims. To the oppressed species who had suffered for centuries, humanity became something more than allies. They became heroes. The Galactic Council watched with growing concern. The Valoran Dominion was collapsing. Human influence was spreading. Everything was changing. They made a choice: condemn the Dominion. Withdraw all support. Let the humans win. Supreme Commander Dreth received the news in his command bunker on the Valoran homeworld. The Council had abandoned them. Their fleets were destroyed. Their shipyards were gone. Their slave worlds were in revolt. Only one option remained: make a final stand. Dreth gathered every ship the Dominion had left: 200 warships, the last of their fleet. They formed up above Velor, the Valoran homeworld, and waited for the humans to come. They did not wait long. The United Earth fleet jumped into the Velar system with 500 ships. Admiral Park Taiho looked at the enemy fleet and felt nothing but cold determination. He opened a communication channel. "Valoran forces. This is Admiral Park Taiho of the United Earth Fleet. 1 year ago, you attacked my planet. You killed my family. You tried to make my people your slaves. Now I am here, in orbit, above your homeworld, with a fleet that will destroy you." He paused. "I am giving you one chance to surrender. Lay down your weapons. Give up your leaders to face trial for their crimes. Do this, and your people will live. Refuse, and I will burn your fleet from the sky." Supreme Commander Dreth's response was immediate. "We will never surrender to primitives. You are insects. We are the masters of the galaxy. We will fight to the last ship, the last soldier." Park Taiho cut the transmission. "All ships," he said quietly. "Open fire." The final battle lasted for hours. The Valorans fought with the desperation of the doomed. They knew this was the end. They wanted to take as many humans with them as possible. But it was not enough. Human ships tore through the Valoran lines. Commander Beeksaman coordinated the attack with deadly precision. Every Valoran ship that advanced was caught in a crossfire. Every retreat was cut off. One by one, the enemy vessels exploded. When it was over, the Valoran Grand Fleet was gone. 200 ships reduced to floating wreckage. Supreme Commander Dreth was captured alive. Marines found him hiding in an escape pod, trying to flee his destroyed flagship. They brought him before Admiral Park Tai-ho in chains. Dreth looked at the human with hatred. You think you have one? Other empires will rise. Other species will threaten you. You cannot fight everyone. Park Tai-ho stared at him for a long moment. You are right, he finally said. We cannot fight everyone, but we do not need to. We only need to make sure that anyone who thinks about attacking Earth knows what will happen to them. They will look at you at what happened to your empire. They will choose peace. He turned away. Take him to the brig. He will face trial on Earth. President Kim Yuna addressed the galaxy from the ruins of the Valoran capital. The speech was broadcast to every world, every species, every corner of known space. People of the galaxy, she said. 1 year ago, we were a small species on a small planet. We had never traveled between stars. We had never met another intelligent species. We were alone. Then the Valoran Dominion came. They looked at us and saw prey. They saw a planet to conquer, a species to enslave. They thought we would surrender. They were wrong. She looked directly into the camera. Her voice grew stronger. We are humans. We do not forget. We do not forgive. And we do not lose. When we are threatened, we do not bow down. We stand up. When we are attacked, we do not retreat. We counterattack. When someone hurts our families, our homes, our children, we do not rest until justice is done. Let this be a lesson to anyone in the galaxy who thinks about threatening Earth. We did not ask for this war, but we won it. The Valoran Dominion, which conquered 200 worlds, is gone destroyed by a species they called primitive. Remember that. We come in peace to those who offer peace. We offer friendship to those who want friendship. But to those who threaten us, who try to hurt our people, who think we are weak, we have only one message. She paused. Do not make the same mistake the Valorans made. You will regret it. The Valoran Dominion collapsed completely within a month. Its slave worlds declared independence. Its remaining military surrendered. A new Galactic Council formed, with Earth as a founding member. Admiral Park Tai-ho returned home after the war ended. He stood alone on a cliff overlooking the ocean, near the place where Busan had once been. A memorial had been built there, a simple stone wall with 40,000 names carved into it. His wife's name, his children's names, he did not speak. He did not cry. He simply stood there, feeling the wind on his face, listening to the waves. The war was over. Justice had been done. The enemy was destroyed, but his family was still gone. Nothing could bring them back. Behind him, he heard footsteps. Commander Beek Soman approached quietly. Admiral, she said softly, the president wants to give you a medal. A parade, celebrations. Park Tai-ho shook his head. Tell her no. I did not fight for medals. Soman was quiet for a moment. Why did you fight? He looked at the names on the wall. Because someone had to. Because if I did not, their deaths would mean nothing. Because I wanted them to know wherever they are that I did not give up. He turned and walked away from the memorial. The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky red and gold. The war is over, he said. But our work is not. We have joined a galaxy full of dangers. There will be more threats, more enemies, more battles. He stopped and looked back at Salmin. But now they know. The whole galaxy knows. Humanity does not surrender. We adapt. We overcome. We survive. And if anyone is foolish enough to attack us again, he did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was here to stay.